Thank you, Adam the Bull. And I must say, you are looking very sexy today. I gotta say, I'm impressed with that. G. Bush Tyvis.
Why would he say that?
I don't know what's going on. Let's talk about this. People love draft grades, right? And I personally think it's stupid to give a grade on a draft that just happened because we have no idea.
Right.
But we can pretty accurately draft a grade that happened 3 years ago.
Yes,
and that's what we're going to do, guys. The 2020 Browns draft, how did they do? We're going to talk about it first. Let's go to Mikey.
Whenever we talk Browns, it is brought to us by our dear, dear friends at Lincoln Electric. They are hiring for all jobs. They are phenomenal in the electrical and manufacturing field. Check them out at Lincoln Electric. Now, we did draft grades for the 2023 draft earlier this week, and as you mentioned, Bull, it's impossible to really grade. You're just basing on value, positional needs, and that stuff. But it's a guess.
Yeah.
3 years out, you can actually grade the picks on production, how they did, and how they've become NFL pros. So that's what we're going to do today with Andrew Berry's first draft in Cleveland, the 2020 class for the Browns. We're going to go through their picks. They had one day one pick in the 2020 draft, and Steve, you can take the graphic. It was offensive tackle Jedrick Wills, who just had his fifth-year option picked up. They had a couple day two picks. At number 44, they took Grant Delpit. At 88, they took Jordan Elliott, the defensive tackle from Missouri. And at number 97, they took Jacob Phillips, a linebacker out of LSU. And for the day three picks, they took Harrison Bryant, a tight end from Washington. Nick Harris, an interior offensive lineman, to play some center, play some guard. And Donovan Peoples-Jones, the sixth-round pick out of Michigan, has been a very productive receiver. So we'll go down the list.
Yeah.
We'll start at the top, make our way down, grade them as we go. And let's start with Jedrick Wills.
Yeah, before you do that, guys, obviously if you were watching our 15, 20-minute show yesterday, you know that we started to talk about this. We had technical difficulties, and so the show really didn't happen yesterday. And we did start this by saying that when you look at it 3 years later, it's not bad, right? It's not as bad as you maybe thought.
It's some productive people on there.
And there was some progression from some of those guys this year and some regression guys. We started to talk about Jedrick Wills, so let's get back to it, Tyvis. You got him with?
I got him with a C-.
Yeah.
Obviously, his career has been up and down. He has some highs, he has some lows, but it's something that's not concrete. When you look at him, he doesn't come off to you as a guy that, is he the left tackle for the future of this team? The answer is, I don't think so. So, therefore, I can't really give him anything higher than that. I think that they picked up his fifth-year option, just to give themselves some security. But obviously, with the picks that they've been given, I think they're trying to move on from him. So, C- is the grade for me.
In my heart of hearts, I feel like I'm a C- type dude too. But when I look at, because sometimes I watch and I get angry a little bit when he just stops and gives up on plays. I'll give him a C. I think the problem for me is he's regressed a little bit in certain areas. When you're a right tackle, I expect you to be a little more nastier. I thought he was more of a road grader, played with more of an attitude at Alabama. Mm-hmm. Now you get you get here, you're the left tackle. We've talked to Joe Thomas, we've talked to a lot of other people, and sometimes he just looks like he just gives up on plays.
Yep.
Now, I can deal with, things of technique. I can deal with pad level. I can deal with whether you getting a good pass set or you getting beat on outside or inside moves. You can work on those things. But one thing you can't work on is somebody's mentality. And to have a good mentality to be a left tackle, you have to understand, that is still the position up front with the most cachet. Mm-hmm. That's the most important position. You going against top-notch rushers all the time, and that's the big money position. Sometimes I don't see that level of fire from Jedrick Wills. And can he get there? I think his ceiling is a little bit above average. I think that's just what his ceiling. He doesn't have some of the tools that a Joe Thomas or some of these other guys have. Mm-hmm. He can still be a productive pro. I just don't think he's ever going to live up to the 10th pick.
I think much of what you guys have said is fair. There's nothing I really disagree with. I give him a C as well. You talk about the inconsistency in play.
Yep.
First of all, he's being graded on a different scale. A guy who's an equal talent or an equal guy of accomplishment that's drafted in the fourth round, the sixth round, are going to be graded a little higher because you have higher expectations. For a first-round pick, when I draft a guy in the first round, I'm expecting him to, at the very least, be a rock-solid quality starter.
Yep.
Minimum. That's the minimum of what I expect from my first-round pick, and he's not that. Now, the one thing I'll say in his defense is you talked about them picking up his fifth-year option. And I think there's some thought, like, was it the right idea or not? I think in the end, I'm okay with them picking up his option. I think you guys are.
Yeah.
And only 12 of the 32 players from that draft had their 50-year option picked up.
That's gotta
so
be
20 teams, their guy is not even good enough to be a C. So, okay, if you factor that in, I think also maybe we're a little harder on him than most guys the Browns draft, because he's replacing the best player the Browns have had in 20 years or 30 years or whatever.
Or one of the best players they've ever had.
Period. Period. Right. And so that, however, the things you say are true.
Yeah.
The bad plays are standout bad. There are times where it feels like we've talked about it with Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett's so freakishly talented that it's not really a factor. But we've talked about, is that nastiness there?
Yeah.
Like, even this may be totally unfair. You guys tell me what you think. But that picture of him in the freezing cold wearing the head condom, I'm like, most offensive linemen are not wearing that head condom.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. Because he wears sleeves, too, and I swear offensive linemen
having
don't
that
wear sleeves.
And he made a comment, and I try not to do this.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate this. I hate this because I don't want to sound like that guy.
Yeah.
There was a time where he was upset because people were booing.
Yeah,
And I was
that's
like,
old soft.
I was like, as an offense or a defensive lineman, the question is, when you say that, it's like, yeah, like it looks like it's a little bit of cowardly lying in that.
Yeah.
I mean,
it kind of looks like the cowardly lion.
Is it that bad? No.
But
like when you think of offensive linemen, you think of some of the toughest dudes.
Right.
Like, so the only offensive lineman that to me gets away with wearing sleeves is Trent Williams.
Because he wears sleeves when it's hot too.
Yeah.
Well, Trent Williams is freaking awesome.
Exactly.
So
And
outside of him, I swear offensive linemen don't wear sleeves.
No, they don't wear those sleeves, and you can't. And offensive linemen's comments, we say, look, we blue collar defensive linemen. I boo us too.
Yeah, right.
We out here losing. I boo us too. But I will say this: they picked it up. I like it because he's been injured. Conklin's been injured.
Right.
And so he might not even make it through the whole season. So they hedging their bet on bodies. So
Right.
I like that.
And maybe if he's finally healthy this year, he moves up into that B category, and then you're happy you picked it up.
Yeah,
and if it doesn't, okay, you waste money on him for 1 year.
Right.
Does
Go
this
ahead, Mikey.
factor into your grading at all, though, that 2 tackles selected after him, Tristan Wirfs has turned out to be an all-pro, and then Mekhi Becton, who's been hurt, but when he has been healthy, has been a stalwart.
But
Does that factor into the grading whatsoever?
Didn't they not pick up his
Jets didn't pick up his option, Mekhi Becton.
Yeah.
He's been hurt. So I'm saying, like,
The
hasn't been very good.
Tristan Wirfs one hurt the most
Yeah.
because I think because Jed was a right tackle and they put him at left tackle,
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
and Tristan Wirfs was
Right.
like a left tackle at Iowa is a great place. Like I don't.
Yeah. To me, I'm grading him based on him. And based on where he was drafted more than what other guys
I was just
did,
asking if that factored
Yeah.
in. Okay, let's move to
All
their
right, next guy.
second-round pick.
Yeah.
Grant Delpit at number 44. He's been a starter.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
Tyvis ripped him, but he has been a starter.
You know, I give Del Pitt a B. I give him a B. You know, last year it started off rough, but at the end of the year, man, he was to me one of the best players in their secondary. I mean, the interceptions that he was getting, he seemed like he finally understood the playbook. He understood his responsibilities. He was making hits. He was in the right spot. If he continues to play like that, that's a guy that they should extend. I think he's a guy that could be one of the focal points of that secondary. So I'm gonna give him a B.
I'm gonna go with B minus. I like he got better at the end of the year. He actually led the team in tackles, which I think that should be not a goal for the Cleveland Browns to have someone in the secondary. This ain't high school. Like that means
Better not be the case this year.
That means people is in your secondary and a lot. But the only reason I wouldn't give him a B would be because there was too many communication issues in the back end. And I can't pinpoint who it was because it was looking so bad. The coverages, like between cover 2 and cover 4 and cover 3 and cover 1, I don't know what they was in, and everybody was looking around at each other like this. But I will say he has the traits to be a good safety. He has the skill set to be a good safety. Now I want to see if he has the mental makeup and how he's going to take it moving forward in this new defense. But I would say if you get a starter and he's been a starter multiple years, I can't give it a horrible grade.
Right.
I give it a B minus.
I'm actually with G. Bush again, and I'm kind of right on the border between a B and a B minus. The only reason I went with the B- over the B is because he hasn't played well enough long enough.
Yeah.
I agree with what you guys said. He's trending in the right direction.
Yes.
He played his best football as a Brown the second half of last year. But before the second half of last year, he was a starter, but he hadn't done much.
True.
He was a starter because they had no other options.
He was coming off an injury.
He was dealing with injury,
So-
and I think like last year, if we did this, we probably would call him a D.
Yes.
You know, going into last
Going
year.
into
Yeah. But now, like, if you tell me he's going to be a B+ by the end of next year,
Well, you can win with that.
I
I
would
take
believe that.
Yeah.
So I think he's headed in the right direction. Well, I'm going B-. So we're all on pretty much the same page.
We're
Go ahead.
moving on to their first third-round pick.
Yeah.
Defensive tackle Jordan Elliott out of Missouri.
All right. Why don't you start us off on this?
Yeah.
As the former defensive tackle.
D for diploma. He ain't did nothing since college. So, he has the requisite size. He's bigger inside. You can even put him at nose or 3 technique. He looks like he should be better, but when you look at his tape, his PFF scores are horrible. He graded out as one of the worst defensive tackles in the league. He graded out as one of the worst defensive tackles in terms of run blocking. He's another guy who never really shows that much emotion. He had all the opportunity in the world last year to take that position with nobody around him. Now he's going to be a person that has to go against in the numbers game. Hill, Hurst. They just drafted Siaki Ika. They got Tomlinson in there as well. And they still got Togiai and Perrion Winfrey. Now, you went from having an opportunity to show what you can do, given the position by Andrew Berry as a third-round pick. Now you're a guy, we don't know if you're going to make the roster.
Yeah. Tyvis?
He's not wrong. I'm giving him a D as well. I mean, I think last year last year was the perfect opportunity for him to make himself money and be a guy of the future. And when that thing went south and there was no, because it was the littlest things. Like, if you could just
get off that block.
Finish,
wrap.
get a TFL. Make the running back stop and switch directions. Something.
DBs do that all the time.
None of that going on.
Tyvis DBs will be like, you be on the sideline. Tyvis types will come in, get in there.
Do something.
Just get back there.
Like, you know what? At the end of it, if all else fails,
just get back there.
if all else fails, just fall down. Just create a pile, something. And you didn't do none of that. So therefore, it's
deep.
bad.
All right, I got to say, these guys have been pretty harsh. I'm going to go with a different tact here. This guy gets an F. He sucks. He's an F for failure. A D.
God.
I mean, this guy, no offense intended, but he's a bum. The Browns have told you what they think of this guy. They have added about 82 defensive tackles this offseason.
70.
He has played what? Every game, I think. At
yes.
Least that's maybe I got to give him like an F+ because he's played every game. Has he made? Can you remember any impact plays he's made?
19 tackles. That's like one tackle a game.
Are you kidding me?
Well, for a defensive tackle, it's hard.
But he played the whole game.
He was playing a lot. Like, this guy makes no impact on the field. You talked about the PFF grade. He stinks. This guy was the 88th pick in the draft. You got to factor it in. If he were a 6th-round pick, I'd call it a D because, like, all right, those are crapshoots. But he was the 80. If you're a top 100 pick and the only reason you play is because everybody else sucks at your position too, he, as you guys said, they opened up the door. It was his opportunity to step through, and he shit himself.
That's exactly
He
what
crapped
happened.
down his pants. He stinks. That's an F.
Yeah.
All right, the last of the Browns' 3 day 2
Oh,
picks.
my goodness.
Linebacker Jacob Phillips.
Oh, F. That's an F for failure right there.
How many games has Jacob Phillips
What are you
played?
talking about? You was harsh on Jordan Elliott. The only thing we remember about this guy is roughing the punter against, who was that?
That was Tony Fields.
Excuse, that wasn't him. Excuse me. I take that back. No, you know what? I'm not going to give Jacob Phillips no F. He is, to be all fair, because he had promise, man, and he had a game. Remember, somebody got hurt, and he came in and had an unbelievable game.
It was against Cincinnati.
It was against Cincy. So I would give him.
After Anthony Walker got injured.
I honestly would give him He get a C+ from me. A C+. Hey,
Wow.
Yeah,
You went from an F to a C+?
I was just kidding on the F. He get a C+
Can't make the club
because
from the tub.
he got the potential, and he's given us glimpses. He just doesn't have consistency behind it, and that's. I mean, you would expect that out of a guy. That's what round did he go? Third? You would expect that out of a
Third
guy,
round pick.
a developmental guy that the reason he probably wasn't a first round pick is because he wasn't consistent. He showed you that he got the ability to do it. He just doesn't do it week in and week out. So it's really to be expected from a guy like that. So a C+.
I'm gonna give him. He's gonna get a D+ from me.
God, y'all harsh.
He gets the D+.
Y'all is harsh.
The D+ is because. First of all, he does have some skill sets that you like. He's fast, he's agile, but besides that, his read and react, getting off blocks, diagnosing plays, coming downhill, his coverage skills, all of those are lacking. He gets blocked and takes terrible angles. He gets washed down, kicked out of the plays, and he's injury prone. He's been injured every single year he's played here. Let me mention that. Even
You know how many games he's played in 3 years?
How many?
Remember, the Browns have played 54 games the last 3 years. 70 games the last 3 years.
No.
My math seems way off.
No way.
50.
Yes.
I finally got it. Fourth
there
time.
is.
50 games, 16, 17, 17.
Yes.
50 games. How many of those 50 games has he played?
10.
22.
Jacob Phillips? How
20.
many?
No, 22. Well, you get 22.
I'm guessing.
You said out of 50 games, how
Yeah.
many has he
10.
played?
20. He's played 20.
20. Oh, well.
So
played 20.
he's missed 30 games.
He's missed 60% of the games.
So what do you give it?
D+.
I'm giving him a D-.
Oh, God.
The only reason I don't give him an F is because he's had a few moments here and there.
Yes.
But 20 games, for a linebacker, he's averaging less than 4.5 tackles per game. He's made very little impact in the backfield. I think he's had 5 tackles for a loss in his career in 20 games. I mean, that's not, I know he's a linebacker, not a D lineman, but a D-.
All right, we're on to the day 3 picks. We have 3 of these. Let's start with Harrison Bryant, the tight end out of Washington.
He was a fourth-round pick, right?
4th-round pick, correct.
Harrison Bryant is okay. He's a guy that, when Njoku's out, he can still keep the thing moving. I don't know what's going to happen this year. I guess they do keep 3 tight ends, so he might got a shot there. 7 touchdowns. That's a solid B- to me.
I'll go with C+.
God, why can't you just agree with me? He always one underneath what I say.
You sound like my ex-wife. How come you can't? But you just don't want to agree with me. No, we're not doing that. No, C+. He's a backup. For him to win the Mackey Award, the best tight end in the game.
Yeah.
He's another one that looks like he's running in quicksand a little bit. He catches the ball when thrown to him. He's a decent blocker. He's just medium sauce. He's medium sauce at BW3s.
Yeah.
It's nothing crazy or terrible.
Yeah.
It just is what it is.
I'll go with Tyvis on this one. I'll go B-.
Thank you.
Because he was a 4th-round pick.
Okay.
Right? If he were any higher, I'd go with you on the C+. But as a 4th-round pick, you're looking for a guy who can contribute. That's what I'm thinking. Right? And he contributes.
Yeah.
Listen, he's not a starter. He'd be a lower-tier starter. But as a number 2 tight end, I don't think you're going to get a much better number 2 tight end. You talked about it. He's got good hands. He's reliable in small doses.
Yeah, he doesn't
He's
drop
a nice
the ball.
player. I thought 2 years ago he was really trending up.
I did too.
This year he wasn't as good.
Yeah.
He's gonna, there's some inconsistencies, but as the offense gets better, he'll be a guy who'll come in there sometimes as the 4th or 5th option, and he'll get some chances, and I think he'll make the plays when given the opportunity.
And he always seems to get a touchdown against Cincinnati. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just
so that's a solid pick. That's a solid 4th-round pick. All right, Mike.
2 more to get to.
Yeah.
Let's go to their 5th-round pick that year.
Yeah.
Nick Harris, interior offensive lineman from Missouri. He might be the hardest one to
He's
grade
tough
in this
to
whole
do.
class.
Yeah.
He got hurt last year. He was supposed to be the guy,
He
and
was
he
going to be
got
the
hurt.
center, and now he's a backup.
I mean, they made him the starter for a reason, so it's something there.
I feel like I got to give him an incomplete.
It is it's hard to say because we don't know. I don't know.
I thought he had some potential, but he's barely how much has he even played?
And they re-signed.
He's played 23 games.
They
in 2 years.
re-signed
He has 2
Ethan
starts.
Posick, right?
Yeah,
Pocic
so
is back.
he really hasn't played.
So who's the starting center right now?
Poach.
Pocic. It's not even close. It's
It
perfect.
says he's
And
played.
then they drafted Luke Whippler too.
Right. I got to give it an.
I can't grade. No grade.
It feels like they've kind of given up on him.
No grade.
But I got to give it incomplete because he hasn't played. And the 20 games is misleading because probably a lot of those he played like 1 or 2 plays.
Yeah.
Or he was up playing special teams or whatever.
I think
2
they-
starts.
He's barely played.
I think they came to the conclusion, if you look at the way he was injured in that play,
yeah.
it was a straight bull rush.
They think he's done.
And he got
bullied.
He got that leg folded up. That's the lawn chair type thing. And plus during that offseason, if you watch Building the Browns, he stayed all offseason and put on a bunch of weight.
Yeah.
Because he is technically a guy that is not that big. He has to really work to put on that weight. I think they may say look, hey, he's always had to get stronger. We don't know how that leg is going to come back. I would say if I had to stick to it and say give it a grade, I would give it a B- because they did execute what they wanted to. J.C. Treader, they moved him out. They groomed this guy.
Yeah.
They got him all the way to the first your preseason game and he gets injured. So the plan worked. They did have a succession plan.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, if I had to give a grade, I'd give a C just because you're right, the plan worked. He showed some potential in those 2 starts, but he hasn't played enough, and they seem to be moving on from him, so it's hard to give him better than that. Finally, Donovan Peoples-Jones.
DPJ in the 6th round, the best value of this draft for sure. How would you grade that?
I give it an A, guys.
That's an A.
I mean,
I would give it an A+.
Wow.
And the reason I'll give it an A+ is because
He's a 6th round pick. You don't expect that from a 6th round guy.
and I'll give it an extra A+ because he's shown some return skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's helped them in special teams, and if you get a guy that's looking like he's going to be a number 2 receiver in this league,
I think he's going to be a 3 for the Browns.
And the sad thing,
still,
but
in the mix 3.
in the conversation.
Yeah.
the sick thing about it all is, as great as that is,
Yeah.
he might not get paid by the Browns.
Oh no! It's
I
great.
wouldn't pay him if I was
as
Brown.
great as that is. I would. If you asked me today, is he trending on getting paid? I would say no.
No.
But listen, he was a 6th round pick. So if you're a starter as a 6th round pick and not a starter because I guess you could argue they had no better options. But he's a decent number 2 receiver and he's a good number 3 receiver. And he was a 6th round pick. So the special teams he's gotten better every year. I think he keeps improving. I think because of a lot, and maybe they will sign him because they're not going to re-sign Amari Cooper. I wouldn't think after this year.
One of them not going to be.
Yeah, right. And Amari Cooper's older.
And if Tillman has a season and Elijah Moore have a season, that's your 1 and 2 right
exactly.
there. So we don't need, and we got him under contract to the next 2 or 3 years.
But he's a player.
So we don't need neither
he's
one.
a starting caliber player that you got in the 6th round. To me, that's an A. That's a good pick.
And if David Bell even comes up and be actually pretty good, now you got 3 guys under contract.
And like I was sitting there, I said it yesterday on the show. We still haven't found out who Deshaun Watson even likes.
Right.
Usually when you got an elite quarterback, they usually take hold to a couple people and they say, oh, I like this dude on this route.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper.
Yeah, and they trust him. So there may be, we don't know. Cedric Tillman may come in and they say, man, Deshaun Watson is finding Tillman all over the place. Or he might be Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Or DPJ. We don't know. But he has an opportunity. I got to give it an A+ because that's very rare.
All right, guys, so let's wrap this up with the overall grade, right? So, we gave some B's, C's early.
C minus.
Wow, you gave higher grades. I thought you'd have a C plus for your overall.
It's a lot of busts in there in key positions.
The 3rd round picks were bad.
Exactly. And the first round one is the coin flip.
First round's mediocre.
That right there drives the whole thing. You missed with your first pick is down here. That's it. Come on now.
I'll give it it's kind of tough. I would probably, you don't see very many solid B's on there. I would overall give it a C to C minus.
C?
I'm giving it a C. I think we're all around. I think overall it's an okay draft.
I'll do C because I gave him an A+ and Donovan Peoples-Jones is a starter. And I said, how many starters did you get?
Yeah.
Phillips possibly could start this year.
And
Delpit is a starter too.
If Delpit and especially Jedrick can take their game up another level,
That'd be a B.
then it becomes a pretty solid draft overall. We'll see. All right, Bull, take it back, you handsome bastard.